Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you all for coming today, for coming here to show your support and to stand in solidarity for the land of Israel. I would also like to thank a couple of sponsors that help us put this together. First and foremost, I want to thank Clifford Weiss with the Atlanta Jewish Times for all the wonderful assistance in getting the word out there and the media. And I'd also like to give a huge shout out to Jason Kagan of Crazy Boy Productions for donating their time and their resources so that we can all hear and see everything that's going on. I'm Kaylene Rudy. I've been blessed with an opportunity to serve the Atlanta Jewish community every day as business manager of the Atlanta Jewish Times. And I've also been blessed to serve Americans in the land of Israel as founder and president of Americans United with Israel. Americans United with Israel was founded in 2011 for the purpose of organizing peaceful expressions of support for Israel, just like this one. In January of 2013, we partnered with United with Israel and became the U.S. headquarters for the largest pro-Israel organization in the world with over 2.4 million supporters and members. With all of your support and the support of thousands upon thousands of people around the world, we've been able, and just in the last 4 weeks, we have funded the relocation of the Eden Girls Shelter, which is a shelter for high-risk teenagers in Israel. We've built 5 bomb shelters, 2 shelters in the city of Netivot, 1 shelter in the Gilat Junction, 1 in Mishav of the Gilat itself, and another large shelter which is currently being placed in Ashkelon. We have also supplied thousands of care packets for the IDF and, of course, much, much more. You know, there's a reason that I have devoted myself to support of Israel. And those reasons are very clear, not only to myself, but I'm sure that they're clear to everyone here. You know, Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. Israel is the best friend and ally that America has. And we are in this fight against Hamas together. And one of my favorite and most fervent, passionate reasons is Israel is founded on the principle and faith and loyalty to the God of Israel. And that's what America was founded on as well. You know, Jewish communities and Christians are being subject to terror and death threats all over the world. Europe has a serious anti-Semitism problem. France, July 20th, pro-Gaza protesters attacked a synagogue, and Jewish-owned businesses with thousands chanting "Death to the Jews." In Germany, there has been reports of violent chants, and on July 17th, explosives were thrown into a synagogue. Italy, Rome, anti-Semitic graffiti has appeared everywhere, and there are protests against Israel. In Britain, there's reports of extreme hate speech. In Venezuela, there are claims of violence in South America toward the Jewish population because of the government's inflammatory remarks about Israel. And we don't want to forget, let's definitely not forget the terror and the death of the Christians throughout the Islamic world. There has been house-to-house searches in Mali for Christians and people tortured into revealing Christian relatives. There is at least one pastor was beheaded and others have been crucified. Islamists have issued an ultimatum to northern Iraq's Christians to either convert to Islam, pay a religious levy, or face death. My friends, this is more than just about land. These terrorists are mocking the God of Israel, and it is against anyone that is founded on those core values. But we all know the greatest part about this is the God of Israel will not be mocked. No, no, no. Victory will be Israel's, and those who bless Israel will be blessed. No matter what is happening around the world, and with the majority of Americans are still in support of Israel, and support of Israel and Israel's right to defend herself. And we are all a part of something great and wonderful. The fact that you are here today to stand in solidarity and show your unity with the land of Israel is great and wonderful in its own. And I want to encourage all of you that when you hear inflammatory remarks about Israel, or the crazy, the absolute absurd media and communications that we're hearing about Israel, I challenge you to defend Israel. Speak the words, because I can guarantee you, once you begin, there's going to be someone next to you that is going to come and help you and stand in unity with you. Because we are a majority here, and Americans are going to stand with Israel no matter what. I would like to show you an example of just exactly how wonderful that we are here in America and what we can do when we stand together against the enemy when they start to spread lies. If you guys can just go ahead, I'm going to roll a quick video here. On July 25th, a group of anti-Israel protesters targeted Jewish-owned businesses in what they call a direct action. I don't know if everybody has been to the Diamond District in New York City. It's absolutely beautiful.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Gaza! Free, free Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free!
Pro-Palestinian, pro-Gaza protesters marching through the Diamond District. Something very striking took place. stand together for the land of Israel. So I challenge each and every one of you that when you stand up for Israel, know that there's somebody that's going to stand up for Israel with you. So don't ever back down. So I would like to now, I'm going to call up where I like for us all to come together and sing the Haktikva. Cantor Julie Naturman. She is a cantorial soloist with Temple Sinai, and she was recently one of the Atlanta Jewish Times recent winners of the Clergy Under 40 Leadership Award. So if you all like to welcome Julie Naturman.
Kol balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homia ufate Mizra kadima ayin letzion Sophia. O lovda tikvatenu, hatikva bashnot alpayim, liotam chofshi be'artzenu, Eretz Zion, Yerushalayim. Liotam chofshi be'artzenu, Eretz Zion, Yerushalayim.
And if you would just please remain standing, I'd like to also now call up Kelly Stewart. She's the Mayor Pro Tem of Johns Creek. She serves on the board of the FIDF and Israel Bonds. She's Leadership Council of Birthright of Israel and Christians United for Israel. Please welcome Kelly Stewart.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So now I would like to introduce to you one of the rabbis at Congregation Eskaim, past president of the Atlanta Rabbinic Association, as well as he just came back from 2 months from being in Israel, Rabbi Paul Kerbel.
Good afternoon, everyone. When I received a phone call the other day from my dear congregant and friend Seth Barron of Friends of Israel Defense Forces, asking me if I would like to speak today. I don't know if he realized it or not, but I hesitated for about 15 seconds before I said yes. Not because I would give up an opportunity to show my support for Israel or speak about Israel, but these last few weeks have been ones with very mixed emotions for me. And at this time, I just have this tremendous sadness. Just a few moments ago, one of my son Judah's friends sent a picture from Israel of an Israeli soldier standing at the grave of some of his comrades, fresh graves that were just dug. And that was one of the last images I saw before I came up to speak. At my house until an hour ago was a young man named Eli Granot, who served in the Israel Defense Forces until a few months ago. And he just spent the summer working at Camp Ramah in Clayton, Georgia, and he's now going to be traveling to the United States. Well, he was relieved of his duties in March. The commander who replaced him died in Gaza during the war. And so I'm filled with tremendous sadness at the loss of 64 beautiful young men. I think about the fact that if each of those 64 young Israeli men, and of course some of them are already married, but most of them are not yet, many of them had fiancés, if each of them had 3 children, that's 192 Israeli children that will not be born because these 64 died. And I think about the tremendous sadness at the injury and the destruction that the rockets from Hamas causes Israel. And the children who since 2005 have been living in fear, running to shelters or ducking under their desks in their school for the last 9 years because they have had no peace. I'm angry at Hamas because this was a war that didn't have to happen. I'm angry at the countries of the world who are not supporting Israel. And I'm angry at the duplicity of the world because right now our country, the United States of America, is fighting terrorists in Iraq. Where is the United Nations Human Rights Council at this time? Hundreds and hundreds, thousands of Christians are being killed and other minority groups in Iraq. Christians are in danger in almost every Arab country, even in Egypt, which is trying its best to maintain its peace with Israel. You have Christians being killed all over the Middle East. And yet, when the Pope, I was in Israel when the Pope came to Israel, Mahmoud Abbas had the unbelievable chutzpah to say to the Pope that it's because of Israel that Christians are leaving Israel. It's not because of Israel. It's not because of the Jews of Israel. It's because of what Islamists are doing all over the Middle East. And so that's why I almost didn't want to speak today, because I'm really almost at a loss for words at this situation. This is a war that Israel did not want. Israel only wants peace. I encourage all of you to go back and look at the history, because clearly CNN and most of the newspapers do not remember the history. But on November 29th, 1947, the United Nations voted to partition Palestine into a Jewish state and an Arab state. Look at the borders of that state. They were not desirable for Israel. But Israel wanted a state, Israel wanted peace, and they accepted their part. What did the Arab side do? They attacked Israel with 5 armies on May 15th, 1948, the day the State of Israel was created. And look at what Israel has done ever since. How many times have we gone to Camp David? How many times have we gone to the Wye River Plantation in Maryland for Israel to discuss peace with the Palestinians? And every time they cannot sign peace. And it's not because they want a state, they just don't want Israel to exist. And that is the real truth of the situation. I've been told that when Yasser Arafat was urged by President Clinton to sign the paper at Camp David, it wasn't because he wasn't getting most of what he wanted. He was getting 94% of what he wanted. Almost any of us in any deal we're working on, we'd be happy with 94%. But he couldn't sign the paper because he wouldn't agree to recognize the Jewish people had a right to a state of Israel in their land. All Israel wants is to be left alone. All Israel wants is to raise its children in peace and create the beautiful country Israel has created for the last 66 and a half years, a country with the cutting-edge technology to help the world, with the ability to work on virtually every cure for every disease known to man, creating everything that we can to make our world a better place. If Israel was left alone, it would be able to do even so much more than it already has. And so that's why I'm having trouble speaking today. But what we need to do now, and I thank all of you for coming today, is we have to continue to help Israel fight militarily. We have to help Israel fight politically. We have to help Israel fight diplomatically. And we have to fight through our own action. I'd like to share with you these words from my colleague, Rabbi Mauricio Balter, who is the conservative rabbi in Beersheba, the largest city closest to Gaza. This is what he wrote last week. How can I describe the pain we feel every time we hear the death of one of our soldiers? I have no words. Each one was so young, with their entire lives before them, and they fell on the battlefield to protect us. How can I describe the anger we feel towards the terrorists who built tunnels to Israel for the express purpose of kidnapping Israeli soldiers or civilians to be used to negotiate for their release, or who dug tunnels with the aim of suddenly popping out and appearing in an Israeli community in order to kill people? How can I describe the frustration we feel when we see our frightened children huddled in the shelter or so-called safe rooms while sirens are wailing to alert us once again to a rocket that has been fired at us? How can I describe the pride I feel at being Israeli, the pride I feel when my nation stands together in solidarity? How can I describe the pain I feel when the children in our nursery schools come to our synagogue and I see them in fear every time the siren goes off? How can I describe the distress and the anger when we see Hamas using their children and civilians as human shields, when we see Hamas terrorists conceal their weapons in schools and hospitals and in densely packed neighborhoods? How can we describe the undescribable? How can I describe the anguish I feel when we see the pictures of the destruction and devastation in Gaza? Many of the people in Gaza don't want this either. How can I describe the pain when we hear the lynching of a young Arab boy in Jerusalem merely because he was Arab? I am not naive, my friend, Rabbi Mauricio says. I have experienced terror attacks both in Argentina, where he used to live, and in Israel. War reveals the basic instincts of human nature, bringing us both the best and the worst in people and in the world. Dear friends, as we are here today, and I thank Kaylene and Cliff and Seth for organizing this rally, I want to ask you to do three things. I want to ask you to show your love for Israel by donating to the causes like the Friends of the Israel Defense Forces, to help the social welfare needs of all the children, the camps, the programs through the Jewish Federations of North America, Magen David Adom, which helps in the medical needs, emergency needs, whatever charity you choose that you support to help Israel, I urge you to do that today. Number two, be vigilant. As Kaylene pointed out, the situation's not only bad in Israel, it's extremely bad in Europe. The world Jewish community is very concerned about what is happening there. My dear daughter-in-law's father is in charge of raising money for the Jewish Federations of North America. They're about to have $1 million emergency transfusion to the Ukraine to help the Jewish community there because of what's been happening between Russia and Ukraine. We have many, many areas that we need to be vigilant about. Number three, do something. Write to our congressmen, write to all of those who have supported Israel in this difficult time, but I also want you to write to the people who are not supporting Israel and let them know how you feel and let them know what the true facts are, the history, all of the important aspects that they fail to understand in this area. Write to the Consul Generals of France and Germany and Britain. Write to Canada, who has been so supportive, and Australia. Let all of our friends know that we thank them, and let those who have hurt Israel and are against Israel know that they are wrong and they are not on the side of history. Avinu Shabbat Shamayim. Avinu Shabbat our Father in heaven, Barech et Medinat Israel, bless and protect the state of Israel, guard its people, guard its soldiers, guard all of those who speak on the side of truth and history and what is right. And if we do so, as Kaylene said before, God is with us and the people of Israel will prevail. And I thank all of you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Kerbel. Now I'd like to also bring up he is the senior pastor at Marietta Church of God. He is a huge supporter of Israel within the Christian community. I'd like to bring up Pastor Brooks. Thank you.
You know, in this life, you get called upon to do certain things that you don't feel qualified to do. I'm in one of those moments. I'm humbled. The first scripture that comes to mind today, preparing, is the Bible says how beautiful and pleasant it is to see people dwell together in unity, solidarity. And that's why we're here today. Whether you're Jew, whether you're Christian today, we are here as one today. From the Christian perspective, let me speak just so briefly, but importantly, so many Christians are still ignorant. I, for one, was ignorant not too long ago. Raised in a Christian home, raised in a Christian church, learned all these wonderful stories, but somehow didn't connect all the dots. As we grow in our faith, we realize how united we really are with the land of Israel, with the people of Israel, with the God of Israel. Israel has not been replaced. I had a moment last Friday. In just the past 2 weeks, my immediate family suffered a great loss. My brother-in-law, 62 years old, died of a heart attack, was gone. Because of that and all the activities that follow, I was over at my sister's house, now the widow, working on her back porch, painting actually, the ceiling of it, when I didn't have keys to get into the house, and the storm came up. All of us in Cobb County know about all the rain we've had lately. In that moment, here I am holding an aluminum rod painting. And then I hear the sirens go off. And I have no way to get to safety. My wife calls me at that time and she said, "Where are you?" I said, "You don't want to know." In my mind, I had already had a plan of action if I saw debris in the air where I could find a ditch to take cover. And in that moment, I thought, oh my. Oh my. In Israel, what they're experiencing is far grander and greater at scale than what I'm experiencing in this moment. But God, maybe you're using this moment to make me aware even a little bit more. In that moment, I'm not one to panic, but I could respect the moment, the powers that was around me, and feeling so defenseless. As the storm passed, how wonderful it is just to breathe nice fresh air, right? And my prayer life has changed since last Friday. For others. How many in Israel today, and as so many as are said, all through Europe, Christians and Jews who don't have the privilege of what we're experiencing right now. So I could speak a lot more on the behalf of the Christian community. I know there are many Christians here today. And we as Christians, we get it now. And that is, we know there's an everlasting covenant over that land that the God of Israel gave. And as Christians, we want to be blessed, so we're going to bless Abraham. And we don't want to be a curse to his descendants. So we unite. So what is our mission? Our mission obviously is to spread the awareness, to help alleviate the ignorance that is still in so many in the Christian community, and to stand in solidarity with Israel, with the land of Israel, with the people of Israel, as we stand with our God over all these experiences that they're going through now. It's unparalleled times for most of us in our lifetime. And so this isn't just one rally that has to take place. We must stay united. Amen. And make this vigilance, this awareness known to all. It is my privilege now from Christian tradition to pray for Israel. I would like all of us to stand at this time as we go to prayer. Our Father, we have the privilege today from the Christian again perspective to listen to the words of our Lord, our Jewish Jesus, who said we have the privilege to say, "Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." We assemble together today knowing that where we may have some differences, we are united with knowing that the God of Israel is our personal God here today. And we unite our voices as one. The words of Jesus in his prayer later on, as we have recorded in John 17, said, "Make us one." And that is the theme here today. Make us one in solidarity. We are reminded of Israel and its people today as we pray. And we are reminded that you called Jacob, Israel, the apple of your eye. You've never taken your eye off the people there or its land. So today our prayer is this: let God arise and let the enemies be scattered. Amen.
All right. Well, I would like to also now, I want to bring the gentleman that's going to come up and speak next is the chair for the Southeast region and national board member of FIDF, Mr. Garry Sobel. Please welcome.
Kaylene, I just want to say thank you. This is tremendous, and really appreciate you putting this together. So look, we appreciate everybody taking time out on Sunday to come here and hear about the situation in Israel, and for us, the Friends of the IDF, who we are, what we do, and I guess most importantly, what we're doing today, right now, with the situation that exists in Israel. It's a fluid situation. It can change quickly, as you've seen, certainly in the last handful of days. Our thoughts and prayers are with the state of Israel and the brave young men and women of the IDF who are standing guard. We started the event today with Hatikva. Hatikva means hope. And in Israel is our anthem. It's a hope for a free land, the land of Zion and a land of Jerusalem. The keepers of the hope are the brave young men and women of the IDF. Holocaust survivors remember well what it was like before there was someone to take care of Jews. We all know the number, 6 million, and we all know 2 words, never again. In 1981, a group of Holocaust survivors decided that they could do more, and they created an organization to provide for the care and the well-being of the brave young men and women of the IDF and for their families, and so was born the Friends of the IDF. Our motto is simple. Their job is to look after Israel. Ours is to look after them. We use words like dignity, spirit, lone soldier, impact, and legacy. These profound words actually describe our core programs and services that we provide, purely humanitarian, for these brave young men and women and for their families. Spirit. Through our Spirit program, we provide for much-needed R&R for weary combat soldiers. Through Dignity, we provide for financial assistance for the families of our combat soldiers who are in desperate need. Lone soldier. This is a concept where, imagine this, over 3,500 kids have left the comfort of their home and their country to go to Israel and serve in the IDF. There are 1,100 of these kids from the United States, and there are 24 from our community right here in Atlanta, Georgia. I want to take a minute and ask, I know Stuart's here, if there are any other families of lone soldiers to please rise so we can acknowledge you. Impact is our college scholarship program for former combat soldiers, a program that Shimon Peres described to us in our mission last November as the single greatest educational initiative for the future of the state of Israel. And our legacy program. That program takes care of the families of the soldiers that have paid the ultimate price. Our goal in the Southeast region is not to watch Israel on TV, but to bring it to our community. One of the ways that we do that is through the Friends of the IDF's Adopt a Brigade program. The Southeast region has adopted the Combat Field Intelligence Brigade. Let me tell you what this means. Several of our core programs, Spirit, Dignity, and Lone Soldier, as well as other well-being activities, goes directly into that brigade. It is the largest brigade. It is also the brigade that when you watch these clips on TV of thwarted Hamas attacks coming out of these terror tunnels before they can get to Israel's civilians, it is through the Field Intelligence Brigade that we have the ability to get to these folks before they cause mass casualties. To further connect to the Combat Field Intelligence Brigade, we bring soldiers to our community. In the past 8 months alone, we have brought Avichai Rigby, Shelly Marhevka, Ortal Amar, Orion Pundak, Roni Johnson, Karina Steinloff, and Asaf Stein. Asaf Stein, a lone soldier from Birmingham, Alabama, who was with us on July 10th at an event here where we got an intelligence briefing, and he leaned over and said, "I've got to leave early in the morning. They've canceled my vacation. I'll be on a flight at 6 a.m. My unit is headed towards Gaza." I say this because it's scary. When Asaf Stein, I ask him, I know you can't tell me anything, but what does Golani do that's a little bit different? We go a little deeper. We go certain places. I can't tell you about our missions, but I'm the #1 guy. I asked him, does that mean you're the commander? That's unbelievable. And I tell you this because Asaf is not an 18 to 22-year-old kid who went to serve. He got his undergraduate degree, a PhD, and he's 29. One of only 5 Golani soldiers that age. He said, I'm the first guy in. Asaf Stein is okay. We are in touch with his family, And as they've pulled back, we are in touch with Asaf and his family as we are with the other families in Atlanta. Many of the Atlanta families are on the front lines, and their children have been in Gaza since the beginning. And we know the situation keeps changing, and we've pulled back. These 24 kids are from 22 families. The math is correct. 2 Atlanta families have 2 children serving. And starting next week, 1 will have 3. These are our kids, and I'm truly in awe of the decision they make to leave the comforts of this to go to Israel and serve. They're also from over 73 countries that make up the 3,500. So I'm fortunate that I've had the distinct honor and privilege to meet with Chief of Staff of the IDF, Benny Gantz, on 2 separate occasions. Last November in Israel on our mission, and then this past March at our national board meeting. According to Benny Gantz, and I'll be careful not to quote a chief of staff, but there is an unbreakable bond between the IDF and the friends of the IDF. According to Benny, I've seen the eyes of the soldier when they come back from a spirit week looking refreshed. And I've spoken to the soldiers after they understand and hear that their families through your Dignity program have been taken care of. We give them the tools to succeed. You guys give them the hug. But you don't solidify a bond by what you do year-round. You do it in times of emergency and when they need you most. With the looming ground offensive, Benny Gantz reached out to his close personal friend of many years, who he served with, our CEO, Major General Jerry Gershon. And he told Jerry, we're going to have a need. This is what I need from the friends of the IDF. Toiletry kits, undergarment kits, snack packs, camelbacks for water, portable showers. To date, the Friends of the IDF have delivered over 60,000 of these kits and units to our kids in the field. When this operation is over, the day after operation begins for us at the FIDF. Our goals include every lone soldier gets a flight home to see their families. All combat soldiers in the field get a spirit week. And we reiterate our lifetime commitment through our legacy program to the families of those who've paid the ultimate price. This is what we do. Since the hostilities began several months ago for Israel, the IDF has paid the biggest price. To date, we've lost 66 of our best and brightest, and over 300 have been wounded. When you go home tonight, I ask you to think for 1 minute. What if it was your kid? What if it was your child in harm's way? What can you do to help? They need our help. We have cards out front to send a postcard to the soldiers. Please grab one. They like reading, to hear from those who support them. I promise you, they get these and they read them. Seth Barron, as Rabbi Kerbel pointed out, where is Seth? Seth is over here to the side somewhere. He's got the table on the front left. There's Seth. Wave, Seth. Seth is our executive director. There are pledge cards. If now is not the right time, please take one home and consider what you can do. Let's remember, their job is to look after Israel. Ours is to look after them. Am Yisrael Chai. Thank you for coming.
I'm Israel Chai. I would encourage all of you to please support FIDF and make sure that you grab a pledge card and grab the cards to write a note of thank you to the IDF soldiers that are out there serving and protecting and being guardians for the land of Israel. Now, I have the extreme pleasure to introduce to you my friend, and by all means, he's been a huge, wonderful blessing to all of the southeast of the United States, as he has served the American communities of, I believe it's 5 to 6 different states now, as he serves Israel here in America as the Consul General to the southeast of the United States for Israel, Opher Aviran.
Shalom, Marietta. Wake up, it's afternoon. Shalom, Marietta. Shalom. We'll start, first of all, to thank Kaylene Rudy especially. She's amazing. She deserves special applause from all of us. Kaylene, from the very first moment I was here, actually, the 1st August, I was just a year in Atlanta. She made a great rally in Atlanta, bringing together Christians and Jews, Republicans and Democrats, Tom Price, John Lewis, and many other leaders. So she's really reaching out and making a difference for us and bringing together this wonderful Solidarity Day. And to see so many, to see the Israeli and American flags together, and I mentioned together, it means a lot to us. And as I said to a friend of mine who was attending a demonstration for Israel opposite the CNN, like 3 weeks ago, I said the obvious. I said, make sure that the flags will be there, American Israeli flags, let them be together, let them be seen on every camera and every photo of any journalist. See the signs, which I will say over and over again. Peace for Israel, peace for the Palestinians, not for the Hamas terror. And that's the message. What a privilege and honor to have here with us our spiritual leaders, Rabbi Kerbel, Pastor Brooks. Thank you so much for both of you for your messages. It means a lot to us. Kelly Stewart, you're always with us. In Kufine, DC, in Atlanta, wherever. We love you. We appreciate so much your effort. And as I said in a few rallies recently, and I stopped counting because it's all over, from Columbia to Atlanta to Nashville to... It's not just me and my deputy, Charlotte, Birmingham, and goes on. And actually, Charleston will be in a week from now. And yesterday, it was actually Huntsville, Alabama. So America loves Israel, and we love and cherish America friendship. I had the privilege, as you know, as an Israeli diplomat, I'm meeting with political leaders across the political aisle. About 10 days ago, I met with Jason Carter, who is running for governor. I met with Michelle Nunn. Last Monday, I had the privilege to host at my home Governor Nathan Deal, following a very successful great trade mission to Israel. And Governor Deal quoted a sentence he heard from Prime Minister Netanyahu when we were together in that room, when I, in a way, initiated the visit and eventually accompanied him to the meeting with the Prime Minister. He said he will never forget what Prime Minister Netanyahu said. There is civilization and there is savagery. And I choose civilization. And the governor and American people choose civilization. And that's the reason we are here all together. And we don't take for granted. We appreciate so much these messages of support. The great rally in Jewish Federation here in Atlanta about 10 days ago. We had the leaders, Kasim Reed spoke a great speech, our mayor. And there were messages read on behalf of the governor and also Congressman David Scott, a very important African-American, great leader and democratic leader. And Johnny Isaacson sent his message, and the governor. So it's not a matter of partisan. It's a bipartisan support for Israel. Now, people tend to forget, as the rabbi said, that the history of the facts, even the recent history, not just the old history. In 2013, there was supposed to be a ceasefire between Israel and the Hamas.
70 rockets during that year, 6 rockets a month. Just imagine America, any American governor or president will let your state or another state will be hit with 6 rockets a month. After the first or second one, you'll react. From June to the beginning of the operation, Protective Edge, there were 300 rockets. And Prime Minister Netanyahu said, quiet will be met with quiet. But he has the obligation as the Prime Minister of Israel, and the government of Israel has the obligation to protect our people, and then the reason we started with Operation Protective Edge. Since Hamas has fired 3,360 rockets before the ceasefire. And when this ceasefire started and then actually finished 2 days ago, they resumed the fire. We are trying to protect our people at the same time. We are very respectable and very strong, but we can restrain to a certain degree. And we say enough is enough. 80% of our population has been under attack. Just imagine 6 of 8 million of Israelis were under rockets attack. Just imagine most of Georgia will be under rockets attack. From Noonan, almost go to Columbus, going to further north and to Athens, Georgia. That single inhabitant will be under such an attack. And the Hamas, their charter is very simple. They're calling for our destruction of the Jewish state. They're calling for the killing of Jews. And let's not forget, and I said at the beginning, Palestinians deserve peace, and I make a clear distinction between Hamas and Palestinians. Palestinians deserve peace. Hamas should be hit and strongly, because Hamas is the proxy of Iran, the same country that actually has another 2 proxies, Islamic Jihad also in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon. And the intention is very clear. Destruction of Israel, the same country, Iran, that's trying to get nuclear military capability. Saying we should stop, and not just a nuclear weapon, but nuclear capability. This is the job of your government, this is the job of every responsible government, not to allow them to have this capability. We were targeting, our goal at this operation was to bring quiet and peace for Israel. Their purpose was to kill as many and to create chaos in Israel. We tried to make any possible effort not to harm civilian Palestinians, and they were killed, too many, and many people who are civilians not involved in terrorism. If the Hamas would have accepted the ceasefire proposed by Egypt 2 weeks before the ceasefire eventually happened last Friday, about 1,000 Palestinians lives will be saved. The same ceasefire, the same condition. We accepted every proposal for ceasefire by Egypt, by the UN, by the US, but Hamas rejected them all. But luckily, thanks to God, but also to what Israel Defense Forces America provided us, we had so few casualties in the civilian population. We lost 64 soldiers, the bravest and the brightest, but only 3 civilians. And the reason, because we were capable to develop on time the Iron Dome missile defense system. And this system, thank you. And for this system, which was developed by Israel, the startup nation, couldn't be really deployed in this kind of masses of batteries across the country without you. The American people, you, that actually supported to your US Congress and your administration the money, the appropriation to provide and to produce these systems that save life. Just to give you a certain perspective, 3,360 rockets I mentioned launched towards Israel. Some of them fell on open field, open ground. Some of them fell in the sea. 200 of them fell in Gaza, fell short and hit Palestinians and killed Palestinians, including hospitals and other places. But more than 600 were actually about to hit populated area in Israel. And the Iron Dome intercepted these missiles. Just imagine, for each missile that will hit this populated area with 1 or 2 casualties, killed or injured people, only 2 will have more than 1,000 people killed or injured in Israel. But again, your support to provide us the Iron Dome system made a big difference. And And for that purpose, I would like to quote our Prime Minister, who said the following: "The United States has given us tremendous support, material support with Iron Dome, not only the one that we received, but now both houses of Congress, with the support of the administration, have agreed to the request that I made for an additional $225 million for additional Iron Dome protection. That is a lot of support, and we deeply appreciate it, and that is the substance of our friendship." We do say to you again and again, thank you so much. I would like to, and to mention also that during that time, when the Palestinians trying to use their own people, the Hamas using the Palestinian people, the human shield, and hiding, as you know, as you've heard from the rabbi and other speakers, in mosques, in schools, in hospitals, in UN agencies' sites. We provided during that operation 2,000 trucks of 40,000 tons of supplies to Gaza through the checkpoint Kerem Shalom to Gaza. Almost 40,000 tons of food, 1,500 tons of humanitarian goods, 1,000 tons of medicine and medical supplies. We are caring about the Palestinian, then the Hamas is caring about them. And I would like to conclude with a few remarks and comments, which is actually a reflection of what I feel and what I share with the communities across the Southeast. We say yes for Egypt, Palestinian Authority, US, UN, Saudi Arabia, involved in Gaza and making Gaza a better place to live. Gaza could be the Singapore of the Middle East if it will not be taken by the Hamas. We say no for the Hamas terror supported by Iran, Qatar, and Turkey. The future of Gaza will be based on demilitarization and disarmament of this Gaza Strip. No Hamas, yes for PA. And I would add more concrete, more cement, more iron for Gaza, but for schools, not for terror tunnels. I mentioned earlier, and I will repeat it again, as your spiritual community leader said before, we cherish your support and being here in hundreds in this room and across Georgia and the Southeast. Every political leader in Georgia, in America, but I will speak about Georgia and my 5 countries. I will just concentrate in Georgia at the moment. That stand for what we believe in, American Israelis, the values, the DNA of the Bible that we are sharing. If we were not religious, if we don't read the Bible, or the second, I would say the following. If you believe in Israel's right to exist, you really believe in Israel's right to fight against terror, speak up. Don't say, I stick to my political agenda for a certain campaign or another campaign. Say that people will know, it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat, that you support Israel. And say no for those, and there was a certain person, former president, who called to support Hamas last week. Now, this former president, not just betraying us, he betraying Abu Mazen, the Palestinian elected leader. He should choose between evil and good. If you believe Palestinian, Abu Mazen, and most of Palestinians are peace-loving people, you should support the Palestinian Authority, not the Hamas. So this is a clear choice. Sometimes in life there's gray. Here is right or left. You're going with the good people or going with the bad people. This is the choice that people said. This is people should speak out and let us hear them when they support America, Israel, and the Palestinians who seek peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Consul General Opher Aviran. So now I'd like to introduce to you Sergeant Major Rabbi Jeremy Gimpel. Jeremy was called up to the IDF reserves to defend the land of Israel on the Gaza border. On July 17th, he was injured in action. He was then released from services and is now traveling around the United States to share the truth about the war in Gaza. In Israel, he hosts He hosts an English-speaking radio and TV show, and he's also a columnist for the Jerusalem Post. Born here in Atlanta, Georgia, Jeremy moved to Israel in 1991 with his family, and today he lives in the Neve Daniel with his wife Talia and 4 children. Please welcome Major Sergeant Rabbi Jeremy Gimpel.
That's too formal for me. It's been 23 years since I've been back, but I want you to know it's rare that I miss a Falcons game. So I want to tell you just my favorite Army story. In Israel, I host a radio show and a television show with really my best friend. We've been friends since we were teenagers. We're study partners together, and it happens that in reserve duty, I'm his platoon sergeant. He is my sharpshooter, and that's a fabulous relationship to have with a best friend. You know, we're best friends all year round, but then 30 days out of the year come, and it's like, sit down, stand up, run there, come back, it's fabulous. But my favorite story, he is a lone soldier, and he left his family when he was 18 from Houston, Texas, and he wanted to serve in the Golani Brigades, which is a tough unit. We're both in infantry. And his Hebrew wasn't that great, but he said, listen, I'm a Jew, I'm a Zionist, I'm going to the IDF, I'll learn Hebrew on the way. And so his first day in the IDF, you have to understand that basic training in the IDF is taking 18-year-old boys and converting them into disciplined soldiers. So the discipline in basic training is just unprecedented. You know, for the first few months, you don't see your commander's eyes because they're not meant to have souls. There is so much distance between you and them. So basic training, Ari's first day in basic training, we have what's called a Mizdar Machlaka, where you meet your officers for the first time. And Ari was late to his Mizdar Machlaka. It wasn't his fault because he was a lone soldier and he was meeting with one of the secretaries there, dealing with who's doing this boy's laundry, where is he going to go for Shabbat. They have a whole mechanism in the army of dealing with them, but lo and behold, it was meeting his officers for the first time, and he was late. All of the soldiers are standing in a row in threes with their equipment below them. Everyone's a little bit nervous. It's their first time wearing a uniform, and they see a big Jew from Texas running across the base. And of course, terror in Ari's eye. He's so nervous, what's going to happen? Well, he musters up the courage to apologize for being late. And instead of saying, I'm sorry I'm late, slicha shani me'uchar, Ari says, slicha shani mechoar, I'm sorry for being ugly. So you can imagine his first day in the IDF. Excuse me, sirs, I'm sorry for being so ugly. And then one guy in the unit said, tough break. And then everyone started laughing. And then after everyone started laughing, then the officers started laughing because no one had ever seen such a spectacle before in the IDF. But the last thing you want to do on your first day in basic training is to make your officers laugh, because now they have to prove they don't really have a sense of humor. But the reason why I tell you that story is because that is the IDF. Israel is an ingathering of the exiles from 143 countries, 72 languages. Not all of us know Hebrew. In fact, the ingathering of the exiles is the most prophesied event in all of the Hebrew Bible. It's mentioned over 40 times by every single prophet, sometimes over and over again. It had never happened until the days of the prophets. It had never happened since. It will never happen again that an ancient people would be scattered to the 4 corners of the world and then ingathered to their homeland after thousands of years. People talk about the 6-Day War as if that was an amazing miracle, but in 1948, if you could imagine, there was no IDF then. It was like a ragtag bunch of Jews that had somehow survived the Holocaust and refugees from Arab countries. And as a platoon sergeant, giving orders in the IDF, it's complicated. Moshe, you go to the right. David, you to the left. You, radio back, bring water. Chaos is around you. In 1948, imagine the platoon sergeant. We say, all right, you go to the right, you go to the left. The guy from Russia says, excuse me, I don't speak Hebrew, I speak Russian. What did he say? The guy from Poland says, I don't speak Russian, I speak Polish. What did you say? What did he say? The guy from Yemen and Morocco says, I speak Arabic. What is everyone talking about? And we won that war? Well, so, you know, the media likes to position Israel as this giant Goliath against the little Palestinians in Gaza. But honestly, it's 5 million Jews. The Hezbollah, the Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, they're all jihadists. They all love each other. They all work together. Sometimes they love each other so much that they kill each other, but they're all the same ideology. There's about 150 million of them against 5 million Jews. But as a nation was born in one day, not speaking the same language, Israel will win this war as well. You know, it was 3.5 weeks ago. It was 9 o'clock at night. I was putting my 4 kids to bed, and they were asleep. Tehila and I were sitting on our couches talking about our day and what tomorrow was going to look like. And I get a phone call. It says, Sergeant Major Jeremy Gimpel. I said, yes. So this is your reserve unit. You have 3 hours to be in the emergency pickup. Hamas is shooting rockets on Israel. It's intolerable, and we're going to war. Well, I hung up the phone. I didn't need to say anything. Tehila already understood what the phone call was. I served in Givati, which is in the Southern Command. Gaza really is my expertise. I spent all of my service serving in Gaza. So I knew that that was a potentiality if they were going to call up reservists. And everything stopped. You know, in Israel, I have a full-time job. I have 4 kids. I have a wife. But it wasn't just me. 60,000 of us were called up. Business owners, shop owners, lawyers, doctors. They may be deadlines tomorrow. There may be a shipment coming in. You may have a boss breathing down your neck. Everything stops. In my unit alone, 97% reached their emergency pickup spot within 3 hours. Everyone came. The only reason it wasn't 100% was because it was summertime and people were vacationing. Everything stopped. Outside of Israel, if we get a few hundred Jews together for a pro-Israel rally, that's a huge success. Imagine, at the drop of a hat, 60,000 Jews were able to come together in unprecedented Jewish unity, unprecedented Jewish strength. That hasn't happened since the times of the Maccabees. That hasn't happened since the times of King David. My soldiers and I, we talk about it more than people would like to imagine. We know that we are King David's army resurrected. It's not a question in our mind. And now, for the first time, 2,000 years, the Jews have been scattered. A few hundred here, a few thousand there, some in Poland, some in Russia, some got to Atlanta. And now we're all coming back. And from a Jewish religion, we've returned to a Jewish nation. Now, what happened when I called up, I can't tell you the admiration that I have for my wife, Tehila. Never once did she say, Jeremy, this is so hard. I have a full-time job, 4 kids. They're driving me nuts. How can I do this? I'm so nervous for you. How are you doing? Every time I had a chance to speak to her, she was the most positive. Everything was great. The kids are beautiful. I hear kids killing each other in the background. The kids are wonderful. Everything is great. We're having a wonderful time. She just wanted me to be entirely focused on what I needed to be focused on. And what happened was not just 60,000 men that were called up to duty, but it was the entire country for a moment left our individual lives, left our own individual egos, and started operating as Am Yisrael again. We started operating and living on a national level, not thinking about ourselves, but thinking about our country, thinking about our destiny, thinking about our people, thinking about our future. It was unprecedented. I don't remember anything like it in the last 23 years that I've been living in Israel. What you see now in Israel, we talk about the Iron Dome. And yes, it's incredible technology. I mean, it's a rocket with lasers that are able to hit a speeding rocket in midair within 30 seconds and zap it. I mean, it's like, are we in Star Wars? Come on. How did they do that? Well, I've seen the Iron Dome in action. And sometimes when you look up, it's interesting because there are 2 things that are neat about it. The first time is you would expect a rocket hitting a rocket, it would make a big boom. It doesn't always do that. Usually, the ones that I've seen, it just goes like this. So you'll see 3 rockets coming in from Gaza with white smoke behind them. And the second thing is you don't see the Israeli rocket that intercepts it. So it looks like 3 rockets coming in, and then you just see, with a little bit of imagination, what it looks like is the finger of God going like this. Well, I'm a rabbi, and so I can say that we know it's not really the finger of God. What it is Israeli scientists and engineers that have developed the Star Wars technology that can do that. Well, here's the reality. Thoughts and ideas don't come from us, they come through us. Who gave the Israeli scientists and engineers the ability, the technology, the creativity to come up with this technology right in the nick of time? As we're being barraged with rockets, all of a sudden, all of these ideas started coming to them, revealed to them, really. Who then is really doing it? Is it not the finger of God just through the Jewish people? I know it's not politically correct to talk too much about God, but if you take God out of Israel, you've taken the soul out of the body. Well, it was July 17th, and we had intelligence that the Hamas were digging tunnels under the wall, and they were going to commit a terror attack, a mega terror attack, into some of the Jewish communities. Some of them are just 500 yards from the Gaza border. And they're little communities, 100 families, and we received intelligence that 15 to 20 terrorists were digging tunnels, were going to come out all together, maybe dressed in IDF uniforms to create more chaos. And it's hard for us to imagine what they would have done, but they would have done it happily. They would have come into those Jewish communities and killed everyone. And so we were initially called up to be a buffer in between the Gaza border and those about 10 communities right alongside Gaza. So we had the intelligence. We were set out on an ambush. So our goal was to be that surprise as they come towards those communities. We were there to intercept them. Well, I was walking alongside a riverbed in order to stay covered, and the land in Gaza is very sandy. It's like sand dunes, so sometimes it looks like it's land, but it's not really land, and the land can just sometimes sink under you. Well, inside the riverbed, as I was walking alongside it, my left leg collapsed the land into the riverbed, and then about 120 pounds of equipment, my water for 2 days, my food for 2 days, my ammo, all my stuff, all my equipment came crushing down on my right leg. And then I looked at my leg after screaming for a little bit, and it looked like a basketball. And I was like, my goodness, well, I'm a platoon sergeant. I got 10 other soldiers here with me. We have intelligence that this could happen any second. You know, when you're playing sports, at that point in the game, that's when you go sit on the bench. We were 2 kilometers already in. At that point, that was just time to suck it up and keep on walking. So I kept on walking for another 2 kilometers. I believe it was that night that 15 terrorists, if you've seen the videos, it's unbelievable. They came out of the ground just like that, like gophers. You'd never seen anything like it, like out of the ground. And thank God for the little girl that was watching this cameras that night. She wasn't talking to her friend. She wasn't drinking her cup of coffee. She spotted them. Thank God the Air Force was right there, and the Air Force took care of business. Well, we were there for another night, and on the way back, throughout the day, I don't know, it's so hot in Gaza. It's the summertime and it's the desert. So I think I got food poisoning. And so I started getting nauseous throughout the day. And we're trekking back, and I'm walking with my soldiers, and at one point, this isn't nice to say, but I want you to know the experience. And so I said, guys, hold on just a second. I walked to the side, and then really my stomach came out of my mouth. And then, when that happens, you come up and you're a little bit dizzy. And at that point, we came under fire. Right as I lifted up my head. And so my response wasn't, it was, this is the worst mission ever. And so I was like, well, okay, I guess I better find cover. Hold on. Okay, just going to find a boulder here to hide. I know that's what I'm supposed to do. What was so interesting, though, is that there wasn't a moment, and this goes for every single one of the soldiers in my unit. And all of them, you look at them, they're plumbers, doctors, electricians, builders, lawyers. They're just simple people like us. All of them are heroes. All of them are ready to give the ultimate sacrifice. They'll do anything for their brothers in arms. It's unbelievable. Every Israeli reservist is a hero. None of us were ever scared. There was just a sense of protection. It's hard to imagine. We never felt nervous or scared. Literally, when we came under fire, I knew that bullets were being shot somewhere around us, but I just started laughing. I'm like, okay, well, I guess this is happening now. I guess I better go find a boulder and hide behind it now. And I just hobbled over and then did what you're supposed to do. But something miraculous is happening in Israel, and I really want you to know that. And I'm going to talk about that at the very end. I don't really have a speech. I just wrote down points here on the piece of paper when I got here, but that's really what I want to end with. Our mission was to defend the Israel Defense Forces. It's quite clear that we're not the aggressors here in this conflict. But this is really what I want America to understand. I understand you. I love the Braves. I loved the Braves so much until 1991. Do you know what that means to me? Do you know what that means? That means Dale Murphy, those days, when they were terrible. I moved to Israel and they went to the World Series. That was the most devastating part of my move to Israel. I loved the Braves. Every game I watched like a hawk. We were the worst team in the league, and I loved them dearly. I left the country and they went to the World Series. So I understand the West. I understand America. I understand anyone that understands the Bible. The Middle East is something different, and it's hard for us to wrap our minds around the enemy that we're dealing with because they're not Western. It's a different reality. It's actually a different faith. If a daughter shames the family honor just by rumor alone, a father will kill their daughter. That's hard for us to wrap our minds around. You know, we talk about how Israel uses rockets to protect our civilians, and they use children to protect their rockets. What's really psychotic and we don't really wrap our minds around is if their children are killed, the mothers go to mosque the next day passing out candies and hurrahing that their child is a martyr. They're so happy that their child is a martyr. Meaning it's not that the Palestinians are right now revolting against the Hamas. In fact, they elected the Hamas in a landslide democratic vote. We're dealing with a different culture that it's hard for us to wrap our minds around. 3,000 years ago, the Arabs in the Middle East were sacrificing their children to the Molech and the Baal. That was the culture of the Middle East. That's the backdrop of the story of Abraham and Isaac. Europe, the Christian world and the Jewish world, went through a renaissance. The Middle East never went through a renaissance. So religiously now, they've adopted Islam, but culturally, they haven't really changed much. Now they strap on suicide belts to their children and sacrifice their children to Allah. It's not that different. It's hard for us to really believe it. But what sparked this war was 3 children that were kidnapped. Boys, a little bit older than this one right here. They took him away, put them in a ditch, burned them, and killed them in cold blood. It's hard for us to wrap our minds around that. And really, that's what this war is all about. What's happening now is it's a restoration, almost a return to Abrahamic faith. What does that mean? Western faith is different, really, than, I believe, Jewish faith. It's a Middle Eastern faith. Western faith is, well, faith begins when logic ends. Logic can only bring me so far, and then what I can't really figure out with my mind, well, I just believe in that. Ancient biblical faith begins before logic even starts. And what I want you all to do for just a moment, I'm going to unite this whole crowd of Jews and Christians with biblical faith. Watch this. It was years ago, but years are really 12 months, so I'm going to say months ago. Months ago, Hamas terrorists came into a Jewish village in the middle of the night. They killed the 2 parents in their sleep, and they found the children and killed the children in their sleep. Then they left the house. And they heard the baby crying in the crib. The terrorists went back into the house. They pulled out their knife, walked over to the baby's crib, stabbed the baby, and slit him to death. What you all just felt now was faith. Why? Secularist media, and that's why they're so biased against Israel. If there's no God in the world, then humans are the highest authority. I have my truth because I'm smarter than a monkey. I'm smarter than a lion, and we're the only ones out here, so humans are the highest authority. Well, who's to say that I'm right and you're wrong? Okay, so what have the secular world come to? Well, you have your truth, and I have my truth. And that's why they'll interview Gaza, and then they'll interview Israel, and they have their truth, and we have our truth. But what this war is now bringing out is a faith inside us that's before theology. It's before creed. It's saying, they did what to that baby? I know that's not true. I know that's evil. That's wrong. We're not the highest authority. In fact, that's what this kippah represents, that humans are not the highest authority. That there is a cosmic order that transcends humanity. Thou shalt not kill is not an opinion. It's a truth. We don't have to think about it or theologianize about it. It's right here. It's before logic starts. We know it inside. And what's happening now is this war is awakening ancient biblical faith. And Jews and Christians have it. People ask me what tzitzit are. I usually wear them out. I tucked them in today. But those are the strings that come outside of the corners of Jews' garments. And when I go through the TSA, they say, well, what are those? You know, I don't know, they're nervous. They might be lasers. I don't know what they might think they are. And I always say the same thing, and it's so neat. It always works. I say, well, do you know what the bracelets are? Have you ever seen those bracelets? WWJD, What Would Jesus Do bracelets? I said, these were the first biblical WWJD bracelets. Now, what does that mean? What have Jews and Christians trained themselves to do? Imagine, for thousands of years, we've trained ourselves to look at our tzitzit and remember, what's a good way to act? What's godly? What's ungodly? I see a poor person. What's a good way to act? What's a bad way to act? What's right? What's wrong? We've not only have a moral compass, but we've built it, and we've trained it, and we choose right over wrong, right over wrong. We know good, we see evil. We're training ourselves all the time. That's when I said that story about the baby, you all said, ugh! Right there, you know right and wrong. It's a cosmic order that transcends us. It's not after logic ends, it's before logic begins. It's a return to real faith. Now, what happened is that America's lost its moral compass. So they've lost it. It's unbelievable. Now, I can help America a little bit. Watch this. Imagine if after 9/11, America said, well, let's hear Osama bin Laden's side of the story. We've heard the American side. They got a train crashed into their big buildings, thousands of... Well, let's hear what Osama has to say. Osama, please, get on CNN. Well, I am part of Al-Qaeda and I want to... No, I'm really a peaceful man. I'm just trying... Can you imagine? But they've lost it. They've lost it, and then they say, well, it's a disproportionate response. Well, imagine now, with just a little bit of moral clarity, a terrorist goes into the Galleria here. Well, the FBI would send in a SWAT team with 100 people, snipers. They would gas the place if they have to. They wouldn't be like, well, let's just send in the sheriff and make it a fair fight. What does that mean? If there's a terrorist, you do whatever you have to do to stop the terrorist from killing people. You know, we have a really dangerous enemy because if they had bigger missiles, they would shoot bigger missiles onto Israel. If they had really big missiles, they would shoot really big missiles onto Israel. If they could build gas chambers and push the Jews in, they would do that without flinching. Do we get that? If they had a nuclear bomb, they wouldn't hesitate to use it. But here's the kicker, and this is why I'm really here in Atlanta today. They're not coming for me. They're coming for you. Does America get that? We're a little Satan. We're a little country the size of New Jersey. We're the size of New Jersey. We're not the beacon of freedom and democracy in the world. We're not the beacon of those values for the world. We're a little satellite of those values. America is seen as the end of those values. And so to bring a nuclear bomb into Israel, that'd be really hard. We're small. Iron Dome would intercept it. Our borders are guarded like hawks. The American border, you can sort of skip over the border here. Right? So when I hear Jews say, well, I don't have a dog in that fight, that's over there in the Middle East. What America really needs to understand is we're on the front lines of America's war. Have they already forgotten 9/11? You know, the Torah's ways are ways of pleasantness and its pathways are peace. And here we are having to deal with fighting and shooting and human shields. I'm a vegetarian. I can't eat meat because animals can do tricks. I can't eat something that can do tricks. That's too cute. And now I'm forced to go and kill people? Really? Israel has done so much to protect the civilians around them. Too much. Too much. 3 days before I was injured, or maybe 2, there was a terrorist that was seen going into a house. A normal country would have toppled the house far away from the terrorists, and then the terrorists would have been eliminated and our boys would have been safe. Israel had a concern that there may have been a civilian in the house. So they sent soldiers into the house to pinpoint the terrorists and to protect the civilian. 3 of our boys died. It didn't happen this time. But years ago, I was sent on a mission in Gaza, and I saw a sniper at the corner of a building, and he was getting behind his rifle. Now, when a sniper gets behind a rifle and pulls a trigger, that means that the X is on a Jewish head. maybe of a child, maybe of a woman. It's on someone innocent. Now, I had maybe 30 seconds to act. The problem was, if he was here, there was about maybe a 10 to 12-year-old boy right next to him standing like this. Now imagine, do I give the order? Okay, sniper, try to graze by that child and hit the sniper. Well, if I don't give the order, someone innocent is going to die. We are put in an impossible scenario. How do we win this war? Well, not that long ago, there were warmongering, nationalist, violent Nazis. Today, Germans are tree-hugging liberal vegetarians. They are. I know Germans. They're liberal, tree-hugging vegetarians. How did that happen? We brought the Nazis to their knees. They raised the white flag, and then we built them new schools. And instead of teaching them warmongering, violent ideology, we taught them good values of justice and compassion, truth, democracy, freedom. Arabs, I don't hate them. I have so much compassion for them. I feel so bad for them. They're not bad. If you take a little boy this age and you teach him, hate the Jew, hate the Christian, first the Saturday people, then the Sunday people, first the Jew, then the Christian, kill the other, kill what's different. You graduate school in Gaza by dipping your hands in red blood, red paint, lifting up your hands and saying, this is the blood of the infidel. This is the blood of Jews and Christians. If you do that to a little child, you'll create demonic children, suicide bombers. That's what you will do. So what we need to do is finally be a light unto the nations. It's not time for us to stop terror tunnels. It's time for us to stop jihad. I don't have much more time, but I'm going to end with one more point. That everyone knows logically, but sometimes we forget to connect the dots. There are manifest miracles happening in Israel now. I've seen them personally with my own eyes. Things that should have exploded around us didn't. Things that don't explode did when they shouldn't have. Thousands of rockets are being shot onto Israel. And you can count on your hands. Thousands of rockets are being shot onto a country the size of New Jersey, and almost no one of the civilians is dying. Years ago, one rocket was shot onto Saudi Arabia, 200 people died. Thousands of rockets are being shot onto Israel, and Israel is functioning as a safe society. The stories don't reach you here, but the stories are endless. I was in my living room. I just left, and as I went to the kitchen to get a drink, my living room exploded next to me. There was a kindergarten teacher. She called in sick that morning. 50 kids would have been killed. It hit the kindergarten, but just so happens that she wasn't there that day, and the kindergarten was canceled. The stories are endless. They asked the head of the Hamas, they said, how can you explain this? They said, well, our rockets are bigger, our missiles are more sophisticated, and our ability to aim now. What can I do? Their God is moving our missiles. No, right. It's fun to hear it from the enemy's side. But I want to ask you all to do one thing tonight. I want you to take out your cell phones. Take out your cell phones. And open up a text message. An open text message. The media in America is almost intolerable. But manifest miracles are happening in Israel now. In Israel, it's not called an Iron Dome. It's called a Kippat Barzel. This is a kippah. So all Israelis know there's a big kippah protecting Israel. Isn't that interesting? But imagine what's happening now. There are millions of people around the world. They're praying for Israel now, thinking about Israel now, keeping it in their hearts, following up about it, reading it up on Facebook. We all know that our thoughts manifest in reality. Just very simply, if you think positively, you'll have a more positive day. Your boss will treat you differently. Your kids will treat you differently. Your thoughts will manifest in the reality that you are. What's happening now is millions of people around the world are thinking about Israel. What is prayer if not focused thought with concentration? Thinking about Israel, praying about Israel, and now there's an invisible kippah over Israel that's deflecting thousands of rockets. We get so used to it, and the only analogy that I can give is my kids, when they first got here, it's so beautiful here through Tennessee, Carolinas. My kids said, Abba, a lake! You know, because in Israel, we only have the Sea of Galilee. And then we drove a little bit farther, and they're like, Abba, another lake! And I'm like, yes, there's a lot of lakes here. And then another lake! And then after about the sixth lake, they're like, okay, I guess there are a lot of lakes here in America. Well, what happened is hundreds of rockets were landing, and to me, we're like, hundreds of rockets are landing on Israel, and none of them. How is this happening? In those open spaces that they land, that's usually where soldiers' bases are. So I've had times where rockets are just landing around us. I'm like, well, I guess it's raining rockets today. Thousands of rockets are landing on Israel, and no one is being hurt because there are millions of people, Jews, Christians, and just the good people that haven't lost their faith yet, that are thinking about, praying about Israel. And their prayers are literally, for the first time that I've seen in my life, manifesting in reality. So what I'm doing in Israel now is probably my most important project yet. We've just now launched a new broadcasting network from Israel. That's live news as we want it to be seen from Jerusalem. No bias. It's not people in the studios here in America talking about Israel, but the news from Israel as it's happening from our perspective. What I want you to do with your cell phones is just to text this one number. It's 972. No, 972. It's a Dallas number. It's T-Mobile. It's just mine. 972 987 9201. Put your name and your email address, and you will immediately be subscribed to the newest broadcasting network called Voice of Israel. Now, 972 987 9201. It's 100% free. Now, what I want you to do, and this is the go away, and it may sound cliche, but I've seen it with my own eyes. First, hear what's really happening from Israel. And then when you know what's really happening, then start thinking about it. Then start praying about it. And you'll start seeing that your prayers are literally protecting Israel. You're joining in that invisible kippah. And you'll be joining with those Israeli scientists and engineers in creating miracles for Israel. So the one way, I'm not here passing around a hat. I'm not asking for any donations, not asking for a speaker's fee. I'm just asking for your thoughts and your prayers. This is the last time I'm going to read the number for anyone that didn't get it. 972 987 9201. Once you know what's happening, then you start praying. And together, I want you all to know, I'm not scared for Israel at all. We're going to win, and we're going to win big. And I invite you all to come to Jerusalem and visit the capital of the world. Shalom, everybody.
Wow, that was awesome. Thank you so much. If I could just ask all the speakers to come up here. And Julie, we're going to go ahead, and I'd like for everybody to continue to stand. And if you would join us all together in Hinei Mitov.